and just coming back over the other land bridge behind all of the defenses. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of really proud of doing that. I felt very sneaky at the time, and I did manage to find the precious energy and push through and grab some of that blitzes.
This is AllReasonNoLogic's road to OS25. Let's follow Pradith's journey from starting skill rating 16 as he makes his way to rating 25 and beyond.
Welcome back to Prey's Road to 25. It's episode 16, and my god, people, please watch this. It may or may not be the last episode, and it will also give you whiplash. AllReasonNoLogic.
The title says final episode, Road to 25 complete. He's done it. Of course it's the last episode.
Alright, you've got the answer there, so you can definitely stick around for this one. Sector 318C. It's one of the most creatively unbalanced maps in the Beyond All Reason, and for those of you who were here on episode 1, it's also the map that the journey started on, so what a bittersweet way to end this one. It's diagonally asymmetric with a twist, 2 mirrored 4vs3s and an air player tucked into the back line. That setup creates constant tension, biased front lines, and some serious chaos and energy, just like the standout action we saw back in episode 13, where there was a full yin-yang of the front lines. Prey enters this one with an open skill of 25, and so yeah, you know the answer of how this goes. He's so close to 25, and let's see how he gets there.
Did we actually start the series on this map?
We actually did.
That's so good.
You played me, you should remember it.
I thought we started on Glitters or on Supreme, because that's where we played the most in the first half of the series.
Yeah.
But let's get on into this diagonally symmetrical map. Let's see exactly what is going on, starting off with my favorite 5-tick opener, seeing what damage you can get done, and even if you don't, it's not much of an investment, and it just gets you nice and started for this map. Good little lanes to push through, so this is going to be a very strong direct opponent match. It does look like it's 3 versus 2 when you look at this top half of the map, similarly the opposite on the bottom half of the map. But because one of those is the tech player, you don't expect to have too much help. So it's really all about getting through and trying to getting through and winning your lane, and expecting the support to come in a bit later. Aggression has been the name of the game for me recently. Getting that early damage done lets you scale much better than your opponent, and it does mean that you can have a sloppy macro game like I normally do. Expecting the commander to be heading forward to grab some of the metal, I decided to go high with those ticks, but then when the teal ticks see the comm, I know exactly the space I can run through. Just going to try to head around and do the damage dealt. Also looking at the stage of the map, assuming that the pink commander is going to be out of the way as well. Managed to find their base for some gutting. This was confirmed by Tank Tom's early blitz that made it through, but this is going to be a complete destruction for the pink player, losing not only the builder, the mexes, the wind, but that is a huge loss at the start. Just one thing to notice: there are 2 Rocketeers. Rocketeers do have slow moving targets, so this micro of dodging the missiles is going to let me take out that last mech. Super proud of that one. Does die to the mech's explosion, but that does mean that Tank Tom is going to have a nice easy start to this game, and it does mean that even though I didn't do much damage to my opponent, the teal player does manage to take out their wind, and so even though the pink player moved forward ahead of time, they're definitely not going to be in a good position moving forward, and has allowed me to take pole position on the top of the hill. Just want to really quickly note something here. I do not have repeat on my lab. Really big mistake right here. The other thing to note is that we do not have an air player. Our air player is doing something else.
They're just going, it looks like they're doing a repeat command on the crossbows and setting a line of patrol across the front line to defend against air. I don't love that. As you can see on the screen, you need to go air. Someone
Well,
Agree.
since that happened in game, I put down a nettle in my base, just a little bit of coverage, just in case. It won't stop me from losing the base, but it might stop it from pushing forward if they do that. Keeping that aggression up, I certainly have mismicroed quite a lot right here. You're going to watch that metal tick up, but because of the early damage done, I have been able to keep my player somewhat at bay. Did see those two blitzers there with my advanced units and have decided to try and sneak my way around. Unfortunately, the units not wanting to take the path I wanted them to, so they are going to end up in range of that comm, but the nice little land bridge is going to let me push on past and make my way into the back lines yet again, hoping that they haven't had time to recover. This time, I need to pick on pink again, and just coming back over the other land bridge behind all of the defenses. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of really proud of doing that. I felt very sneaky at the time, and I did manage to find the precious energy and push through and grab some of that. Blitzers and ticks trying to take me down, but their micro is not quite where it needs to be, so the pawns do get away, and I do manage to run directly into their base. Unfortunately, my micro also not perfect, so I'm going to take a little bit of damage that I don't need to. But these two pawns, absolute MVPs, going to try and take out some more of those mexes and keep these players on the back foot. While this is happening, Tank Tom is up in the top section fighting against the pink player. The pink player at a bit of a disadvantage because of that early harass. They still don't have their base back in working order, only one of those mexes and a lot of those wins gone. So doing what they can, but with that LLT up on the top, taking a lot of damage. Does get degunned, but was nearly dead already. And now Tank Tom can stand there and rain fire down with his comm. Tank Tom, what were you thinking in this position? Because that's quite a dangerous fight for your comm, even though you are winning it.
Comm hunting. I know I'd already done damage to the commander and that there hadn't been resbots and things to heal it. So even if it was a stand-up fight, I was going to back myself to have enough health to kill him, even if I did have to come back and...
You're one shot away from killing it. If that Janus can hit...
Yeah, if that Janus had targeted the right thing, he would have been dead.
I love to use the hold command on Janus's when you can see a comm, so just hit that hold down the bottom left there, and then you just manually fire on the comm. And once again... it happens, and that Janus might not survive any further. Yeah,
he's going to die just before reloading, but that's good all the same. Does look like I've picked up my mistake, and I'm now building at a rate of 2 pawns to 1 Rocketeer out of my lab. Have used the opportunity to get a little bit more in the way of those construction turrets down just while I was getting that going and getting builders forward to grab that Geo. I know that my player is in a bad spot after all of that harass, so even though I did make a mistake, I'm not super worried about that. I've also sent some units up to back up Tank Tom because that is the next place to attack. You'll notice that this ramp leads down behind the Pink's front line, and that is going to be my next target. Looking to the middle of the map, we've just seen another run by the teal player. It does look like that is the name of the game for this one. Just trying to force all the opponents onto the back foot. Does look like the teal player is going to catch yellow during their T2 transition. That is such a bad time to get caught, especially considering that lab is 83% complete, and with some bad micro, it definitely is going to prevent it from, is going to at least set it back. The build turrets have been destroyed, the comms out of position, and those units are well and truly into the eco. They've taken out most of the wind, but thankfully the yellow player's taken over someone. That's what's happened, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yes, the yellow player is their air player and has taken over that frontline position, hence the lack of macro.
Good pressure across the map from our front line. All of our players have made it up to that midpoint with armies that are skirmishing in.
It does look like yet another run by the teal player ignoring their tech roll and just going for all of the frontline damage. Does look like they're going to be taking out the backbone of the maroon player, getting at the wind. Does look like they're going to get the construction power, closing a bunch of the solars, and then running past to get to the juicy tech player behind. So even though they're not teching quite as quickly as they probably could have if they hadn't done this harass, does look like they're going to pay the red player back and prevent them from teching too. They do have the T2 lab though, so just have to recover the energy and the metal, but great damage done there. While that's going on, I'm in Pink's back line yet again. Because we pushed that line forward, I did use that ramp to go down and bypass all of Pink's defenses and gutted their base yet again. So
Whilst you're doing that, my Janus are continuing their slow march forward, and the comms in the firing line.
Are you going to get it this
absolutely
time?
no stop to that pressure.
Oh, good D gun.
Good D gun right
Keep
there,
those
but
on
there's still
range.
way too many
Yeah,
Janus.
That's no beating. No beating that army with the commander.
And there is the first resign vote being called from the red team. Not happy with being pushed all the way into their main base by that 10-minute mark. The pressure just way too much from all that early harass, and Tank Tom making really good calls on the units, and just that little bit of backup from the Rocketeers to take down a couple of the LLTs that were in the way, as well as using the terrain and pushing through areas that we suspected would be undefended has allowed for some absolutely massive damage. A player going down at 10 minutes is a very hard thing to recover from, and all the damage that's been done across the map, if you quickly look at the stats, it's 91,000 damage for the blue team to 40,000 damage for the red team, which is just a crazy difference at this stage of the game.
It is huge.
And with that top lane going down completely, we've now got access to the back lines where we don't have to fight through the fronts anymore.
Yeah,
and that's where all of the
good combined
defenses
army.
are.
Who are you?
You can see the green player, the blue player, and the light green player all... Oh no, that's our player. But those players holding the middle really hard, but it does leave their backs completely exposed.
I did just notice on the screen there you had a big army back in your base. Did you forget to set a waypoint for that, finally pulling it forward now?
Not so much. I was waiting for the pink player to send their units back, so then I could crush their front and eliminate any sort of potential area for them to re-expand into.
Yeah, this is hurting. You've got them on most fronts here. I don't think, apart from the bottom lane, which is being held by Moon Monk, looks like every lane has pretty much been damaged to the point of a loss. Apart from their air, and their tech player is in quite a reasonable position. What's your tech player doing? Oh, salamanders. I don't mind then. Yeah, it
does look like
nice.
The light pink player has left the game. As soon as that front crashed in, they were perfectly happy to bail out of this one. Their back line was being attacked, their front line was being attacked, and Tank Tom is now pushing down in here with me as well. So no trouble right there when it comes to taking over this section. And we do have another, yet more harass coming in from the teal player, running back into the brown player's lines. Just non-stop. This is just non-stop pressure. This is so hard to deal with. Once the players start getting on a roll, once these lanes open up, and once players start attacking beyond their individual lanes, it is such a hard thing to clean up because you have to defend your front, and you just can't when you're being gutted from behind.
You're going up into the air player's lane knowing that there's probably no defense there. You can see they've just thrown down a T2 pop-up turret, but that is not going to get down in time.
No, I want this wind. This wind is going to chain react because of where it is positioned. Unfortunately, my pawn just not doing what I want it to do because of my really bad micro right here. I keep putting them in bad spots. So I'm just not getting the chain reactions until there. Good little pops there, and more units heading up. There's plenty to clean this up from those gunships, though they do seem to be targeting ground, not my units, which is I did wonder why they weren't killing my units.
Yeah, miss micro, misclick on the yellow player's gunship there. And I think I was more focused on hitting the resign vote, which has been called for about the 5th time on the bottom.
Yes, they've been pushed all the way back into that bottom corner. The huge winds from the top half of the map cascading down, as well as the really solid pressure and really solid lane holds from the rest of the team, have meant that the red team just started on the back foot and just could not get off of it. This felt like a really gratifying win compared to some of the early games in this OS25 series, because over the past couple of games, that early aggression has really set the pace for the game.
And
it's really changed
what makes a difference in those low and mid-tier games I find. As soon as you get into the high OS tiers, it's a little bit different because you are going to get matched in micro. But certainly looking at those sub 30 games, if you're doing front line and you're microing at the start of the game, it makes a massive difference
one of
Okay.
the things that I don't think that I would have been able to pull off micro like micro and macro to this level at the beginning of this series. The series has been what, 16 games?
No more than that. So
Nope.
it is a wrap on Prey's Road to OS25, starting at 16.7. It's been 16 episodes, fewer than 20 games. I think it was either 19 or 20. There were a few that we skipped over because, oh my God, those glitters, that glitter stint.
Yeah,
I think you had
remember
as many losses in glitters as you had wins. One of the most played maps, obviously. And if every player doesn't play their role in glitters, I just feel that that's the team that loses every time. It doesn't matter how good you are as an individual. I mean, there's obviously exceptions to that. But anyway, you've climbed all the way up to to OS 25. I think you got to 25.02 after that game. It's been a wild ride. A few clutch holds, chaotic battles, and some seriously impressive plays. Some great improvement in micro. From my perspective, it was that front lining that made the difference for you. Game after game, Prey showed up on the front foot, setting the tempo, soaking up pressure, like taking attention away from multiple players at once, which created the space for his maybe somewhat less experienced teammates to do their thing and get to that point where they're ready to do an attack. He created spaces for his team. There's still a little bit of room to grow, maybe especially in that eco scaling and building efficiency, which you did get better at the end of the series. Maybe it's time you give grid keys a go so you can use those shortcuts
fuck that.
to get to the.
I don't need a 3-month excuse. Oh, I'm Twig and I play this game and I have grid keys on, so I can't be blamed for losing. And just for note here, look at the metal produced graph and tell me who macroed the worst in this game. Who macroed the worst in this game? Not damage dealt, metal produced. Look at that metal produced graph.
Okay, yeah. I said at the end of the series you got a lot better at it. All right, let's just say you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. Yeah, you have seriously proven you've got the fundamentals, the micro, and the game sense to hang out with the best. I'd love to see you in some higher OS lobbies. And that leads to the next questions. Firstly, any other comments from the two of you on this series, and also what's next? And that's for people to jump down in the comments and tell us what you'd like to see next on these Wednesday releases. So yeah.
After Twig gave his actually, Tank Tom, what's your 2 cents on what's going on, how this road to 25 went?
It's gone well. I've enjoyed jumping in for the back half of it and joining you for some of these games because I definitely want to try and get my OS higher as well. It's
What are
been
you at the
a lot
moment?
lower. I think I'm at about 15.
Yep. Some room for improvement there, and you definitely are. You can see it. You're at the top of the damage dealt statistics right in front of us on the screen there. So you also definitely know what you're doing. I know your uncertainty is quite high as well because you're at less than 20 ranked games, I think, in your history. So
Yeah, I haven't played many ranked games at all. I think I've played more King of the Hill than I have ranked games at this point.
well, maybe that's something for people to leave in the comments if you want to see Tom in the next series. If we want to do another road to OS, or if we want to see something else, leave that comment. Any other feedback or comments, Tom, from Prey's games?
You can definitely see the improvement from when he started that dedicated focusing on particular games and working out what you want to do, finding where you play well. I think a lot of us in the AllReasonNoLogic group gravitate towards the front lines and fighting to earn medal rather than ecoing in the back lines.
Hmm. And yeah, so any ideas, guys, what we want to see next, or what do you want to do, Prey?
Actually, just before we get to that, one of the things that, if anyone wants to try and replicate this, if anyone's doing their own road to 25, we've actually had some comments that hit really hard on exactly why this series has been successful and why I've increased my OS so quickly. Rewatching the games that you play and looking very critically at where you make mistakes, I think that's actually the key to the success that I've had in this series. Learning from watching these games, I saw just how many places would be open for harass in the very early game. I saw just how powerful early tick harass was. I saw what happened to me when when things fell outside of the normal, and I managed to then try and push other players to that feeling of not being secure in what they're doing, and push other players to the limits of what they're capable for while leaving my base reasonably well alone. You've probably heard the term, the best defense is a good offense. In games, particularly at this, when you're climbing the ladder, it really is true. If you're keeping your opponent outside of your base, then you're free to do whatever you want while they're constantly on the back foot worrying about what you're going to do and all that sort of thing. So if you're looking to try to up your OS, really do look at your games, look at how you're misplaying, how you could be improved, and just try to focus on one thing little by little. For me, the big change happened when I swapped from vehicles to bots. Bots are harder to engage with because vehicles are typically tanky, they're very strong, they have good range, all that sort of stuff. But bots are cheaper, faster in general, and they have really good DPS for their cost. The problem is that in a straight up engagement, they probably aren't going to do quite as well. So you have to break your units up into skirmishes and into brawlers. You have to then work out how you're going to transition into T2, when you're going to transition into T2, all that sort of thing. And the best way to do that is just to see where you've done it wrong and then try and take one lesson into every game moving forward. And if you can, you'll see similar results to this. I definitely also have enjoyed having someone to play with. Doing these last couple of games with Tank Tom has meant that I've had someone on my side where I knew that if I needed help, they'd come in and help me, and it also meant that I knew that if they were failing, that they would have someone that could come in and help them. It also helps just taking away some of the stress of playing multiplayer. I know that not everyone is big into PvP. I know that I'm definitely not. And so having a group of people that you can play it with definitely helps out those aspects.
Yep. All right. Thanks everyone who followed this journey, supported the series, and watched it unfold. We've had a blast casting it. Once again, jump in those comments. Also, please hit that subscribe below, hit the like, whatever you'd like to do. Let us know what you'd like to see next on either Praise or somebody else's journey. We'll be there for it.
Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for joining me. And the biggest thank you to the Beyond All Reason devs, but even bigger than that, to the AllReasonNoLogic Discord and everyone on there who's supported through this journey, that plays with us on the live streams and has helped make King of the Hill and this series as big of a thing as it is for us. I definitely would not still be doing this without you guys backing us up.
We will see you next time.
See ya.